Hi everyone, Armoured Pants here, and I have another video for you in the German line. This is the Tier 10 Heavy, the Mouse. If you want to contact me, by the way, I've got some questions. The best way is on Facebook, and the Facebook page is at WOTB Gameplay, at World of Tank Blitz Gameplay, and I usually answer there fairly quickly. Now let's have a look at the tech spec, and as always we will use Blitz Hanger. Now the Mouse is a historically fascinating tank, even though only one prototype had a turret fitted. Two prototypes were built, mainly because it's such a monster tank. It's a monster heavy, and it and the E100 are really the monster tanks in this game. The monster heavies, 2,500 hit points. It's just wow. But you know, it does have a lot of drawbacks. So the 128mm gun is short barreled, has low muzzle velocity, only has 920 meters per second, which is very low, particularly for a heavy in tier 10. It has almost an 11-second reload, as you can see, so it's not great DPM. Also, you've only got 246mm of pen on the AP and doing 460 damage, so you don't have great DPM either. Even when you supercharge with the gun, you're only getting less than 1200 meters per second muzzle velocity, so it's very low for a tier 10 heavy tank. When you consider that some tanks have almost 2000 meters per second muzzle velocity, right? And muzzle velocity, as we know, contributes directly towards the possibility of penning, particularly over distance. Now it does have 8 degrees of gun depression, has 24 degrees of gun elevation, which is really good. But this thing is slow. It means glacial slow, 25 kilometers per hour forward, an awful power to weight ratio, which basically means it really slow from a start, really slow from a standstill. You might as well get out and walk if you're trying to get up a hill. I mean, it basically moves like glacial erosion. However, backward it's faster than you may think. It was 15 kilometers backward. It's also a massive target, so it's hard to miss. You're a really big target. You're one of the biggest tanks in Blitz. So you're probably kind of thinking to yourself, alright, well, with the gun and the target and the slowness, is this tank really any good? Well, hell yes it is. And why? Because of this. This is what this tank is about. It's about this armor, which is WOW. Wow, it is troll. It's one of the best, maybe the best armor profile in Blitz. Look at those relative armor angles there. You're just not going to pen this. It is a side scraping monster. You need to know how to side scrape if you want to use this tank though, because it's rear mounted, and also side scraping is one of its key strengths. If you're side scraping, it's almost impossible to pen. However, you can be lazy with side scraping, because look at this. Normally if you side scrape at this angle, it's less acute, you get penned. Not in this thing, because basically, you know, you're still up at 500-600 millimeters of relative armor even at that less acute angle. Even flat on, you're going to get bounces in this thing because it's just a monster. It also has spaced armor at the bottom over the tracks. The tracks are not exposed, so you can use engine accelerator if you want to, because you're not going to get tracked that much in this. You are vulnerable on the top and at the bottom, so be careful if you're going up hills, particularly because you move up hills so slowly. I mean, you move up hills like the seasons change, so you are going to be very vulnerable. But all things being equal, when you are in a battle straight on or side on, you are going to get bounces in this thing. It is a monster and has monster armor, and that's what this tank is really about. It is basically a really sort of a defensive tank, in that its major offensive tactic is to bounce shots. You can use it to bounce shots, therefore, and as we said, there's a double whammy effect when you bounce shots, because firstly you're not taking damage, but you're also stopping your team from taking damage, because any shot that bounces from you is a shot that could have gone through your teammates. We've spoken about game theory on channel here before, game philosophy. One way to look at Blitz is that you start with a red total pool of hit points and a green total pool of hit points, and when one reaches 0 you lose. Of course, when you're playing Supremacy, that's not always the case, but usually when one of those pools reaches 0 you lose, right, and your team wins. Therefore, if you block a shot, and not only are you keeping your own hit points up, but you're also keeping the total of the team up. So therefore you're being a good team player. And that's really what this tank is about. You really need to be aware that this tank, because it's so slow, you're going to play in a small pocket of the map. You're not going to be able to get all around the map in this tank, right? So forget about that. So you need to decide, it's about decision making, you need to decide where to go in this tank, where you can take up a position, where you can block damage, where you can anchor this tank and basically stop the enemy from getting strategic positions. Just think about like a castle. Where would you build a castle that has a strategic vantage point? Where are you going to move this mobile armored castle during the game to make sure it has most effect during the game? Now I do realise that's a bit of an oxymoron, a bit of a paradox in that I'm saying that you move offensively to be defensive. But just think about when its major strength is its ability to bounce shots, its armour. That is a defensive quality. So therefore you're moving into an offensive position to use those defensive qualities to absorb shells and to anchor your team somewhere on the map. And you need to pick that place carefully, as I'm going to do here. I'm moving to B, because you can't really get into another position on this map. You're going to play in a very small pocket of the map, so you need to make sure you pick a position where you can be a target, because that's what this is about in this tank. You need to be a target. If you're not attracting shells from the enemy, you're not doing your job in this tank. That's because that is its strength. And you can see here there is another mouse in front of me, so the two of us are like blind men with swords. We are not really going to do too much damage at all. We're just dueling here together. Even though I switch up to APCR, I still can't pen him, he can't pen me. We don't have the guns for that, and we're not going to pen each other's armour. But I am quite okay with that, because what I'm doing is I am playing to this tank's strengths. I am being a target for the enemy. I'm going to suck the enemy in onto me and then absorb some shells that could otherwise damage my teammates. I'm just adopting this position here. I'm side scraping, I'm not giving them any easy shots, and I'm not allowing them push on. They can't push on past me. Now I'm forcing him into making some mistakes. He's coming out for shots, he's losing patience. Now I missed that shot, but as you can see, he is not doing what you should do in the mouse. The best thing he could do was to anchor his team in that position, but instead he's getting frustrated and he wants to come out and have shots. Whereas I'm just going to sit here, and there we go, there's my reward. Massive alpha roll onto the grill there with the HE round. The game here we're going to look at ends up being a mastery game, also a Kolobanov, and you're going to see the strengths of the mouse in action here. I'm going to push out here, and again you can see here, you know, the gun is not great in this tank, particularly for a German tank. The gun is not great. So just be aware of that before you start playing this tank. There's nothing spectacular about the gun on this tank. This tank is all about its armor. That's really what it's about. Now you can see I've been patient. I anchored, I seized and anchored and held a good position there, and now I've moved up and I'm going to capture, and nobody's going to stop me capturing because there isn't anybody who's going to be able to pen me. And I'm keep moving, I'm angling all the time, I'm making it difficult for anybody to get a shot on me, and I'm just picking my shots. By the way, you know, you're not always going to pen in this, particularly against other heavies, particularly against like the mouse there, but you have a massive ammo rack in this. You carry a lot of shells, so don't worry about missing. It's not like some other big heavies and TDs in tier 10 where you carry a limited number of shells. You're not going to run out on this thing, so don't worry about it. Now I'm going into another side scraping position here, and these guys can push onto me all day. If you know how to side scrape in this tank and know how to side scrape with a rear mounted tank, which you should do because you've played the motion before this, right? Then you are going to have a lot of joy. And you can see there another bounce for me as well. So we are now 4 minutes into this game, and I haven't been penned once, even though I have received a lot of shots. Even the big FV 183 there, he still can't pen me. You know, he didn't have a clear shot either, and then I clear him off. So now it's just 2v1, and I am gonna I know that the mouse's gun is not great, so I'm not worried about him so much. I'm more worried about the IS-7. He's a bigger gun and he's much more agile, so I cleared him off, and now it's a 1v1, so I've taken it right down to a 1v1 situation, and I've cleared that mouse down to a one shot. Now he gets a nice shot at me here, but because I've conserved my consumables, I'm able to put out that fire. And one of the things about the mouse, by the way, is this: you can ram all day long at this thing, even another mouse. So I just got fed up trying to pen him with my little gun and just used my big head instead, and just gave him a nice big headbutt there to get that last kill. And there you go, congratulations, 7 Ghost Division, you just received tier 10 open. So there you go, Tipsy, there you go, a present from me to the clan. Hope you enjoy it. We can all get our IS-5s now. So there you go, mastery badge, almost 4.4k of damage, 3 kills, which are the 3 kills on the Kalabanov medal as well. But again, like, you know, I've done a lot more damage in the mouse and not received a mastery badge. I think I've done 5 or over 5k damage in it, but it's all about XP, as we've always said, and the XP there is almost 1.45k of XP, and that's what delivers the mastery badge. Give the WT a thumbs up there. He had a good game, especially as he's up tier 2, so he did very well. And the IS-7, I give him a worthy opponent. And the mouse, it was a nice duel there at the end. I think the mouse did relatively well too. So there we go, T57 spotted up, mouse damage, grill, that massive roll on him, IS-7, and then the FV 183 killed as well. 3 kills to give me the Kalabanov medal too, which is always nice to get. And I think that game illustrated really what you should be doing with the mouse: going, seizing that strategic position, side scraping, being a shell magnet, you know, absorbing those shots, taking those hits, bouncing those shells, saving your own HP, but also saving your team's HP and making sure you get closer to a win. And basically that's what I did there. Now my team, as you saw in that game, wasn't great. They weren't able to take advantage of that, but nonetheless we're still able to win. Now this is a monster heavy. It really is a heavy lover's heavy, right? I mean, it's just a monster heavy, and if you love heavy tanks, you should get a mouse. It's such a tough competitor. It has troll armor. It doesn't really have any vulnerable spots. It's like a rock monster, you know. It doesn't have a vulnerable spot. It does have a patchy gun handling, though, I have to say, particularly for a German tank, and the 128mm gun is not great. Short barrel too, so has low muzzle velocity. You need to use supercharge and refine gun, because otherwise you won't be able to make shots over distance. You're already going to find it very difficult. You need some APCR rounds too, because pen in certain circumstances, particularly if you're up against an E100 or another mouse, you're going to need that extra pen, so load them up. That's what they're for. But this tank is not about the gun. You know, it's not really about that. This is really an offensive, defensive tank. It's about its armor. It's about getting out there, seizing and holding positions, pin the enemy down, absorb those shells. That's what your job in this tank, and it is brilliant at it. Play strategically. Think about where you can use this beast to the best effect. Where is good to position it on the map. Therefore, you require map awareness. But if you're up at tier 10 playing a tier 10, hopefully you're already aware of all the maps and know where to go in this tank. And it's really important because the tank is really slow. And if you go into a wrong position, you're not going to be able to get into the right position quickly. So, you know, it's all about decision making. The music, by the way, is Johann Sebastian Bach, Toccata and Fuga, which in English means touch and feel, which was very much reflected in that game. Cheers, Mush. Thanks for watching, and all remains for me to say is pants off.